Hello and welcome to today's Devotional. My name is Jack Heineke. Today we're in the book of Genesis, chapter 1, verse 1. In the beginning, God, Elohim, created by forming from nothing the heavens and the earth. And that's from the Amplified Version. That's why you hear the word Elohim and from the heavens and the earth, because that goes into greater detail and definition of what these verses are actually saying. Now, I've heard or read somewhere that belief in the Bible rests on whether a person believes this verse or not. That it is impossible to have faith in anything else written in these 66 books unless one has faith, trust, belief in this first verse of the Bible. It is perhaps the most foundational verse in all of Scripture, for without faith in this verse, faith in anything else written in the Bible is at best a house of straw with no foundation. That in order for someone to call themselves a Christian, that they must have faith in this verse. So I did a little bit of research on the question, do all Christians believe in the first verse of Genesis? And I actually came away with more of a headache than an answer. The answers are as varied as people are. So to assume that all Christians agree with this and the following verses on creation is wrong. To assume that everyone who sits around you in church is in agreement with your beliefs is wrong also. We can easily step into a mess by just living out that assumption that all of us are in complete agreement with me on what should be simple issues, but become rather complex when that issue is filtered through the human minds around us. For myself, I need to keep it simple, as I will quickly move right into insanity if it gets too complex, and me being insane is not a condition anyone wants me to reside in, except for Satan. And I don't want to reside in insanity myself. Faith in the reality of a being we call God is complex in the first place. I mean, just for a moment, look at the fact that we exist on a big ball that is spinning around and is hurtling through space around a star we call the sun. From where I'm sitting right now, I can see my front yard, the busy road out front, the trees, and the sky. There are some clouds, but that is the sky. And that right now, there are billions of us experiencing existence on this ball spinning rather quickly in a yearly orbit through space. I see the effects of sunlight, I feel the effects of gravity, but it doesn't feel like I'm on a big rocket ship hurtling through space. When I just consider these facts, it is literally mind-blowing. It's an incredibly trippy fact that this is what is taking place right now. How did all of this happen? How did I end up here? What is the meaning of life? What's for lunch? When I just consider the biblical idea that God created the heavens and the earth from nothing, my mind just stops, dead in its tracks, because I hit the next idea of, what does this mean? Then the next question is, who or what is God? And He created all that I see from nothing, including me? And then you begin to study the word Elohim. And you get even more confused because the word in the Hebrew could mean the magnificence of God, but the word Elohim is also plural, meaning gods. Then I have to wonder, is this referring to the verses that come later in this chapter that describe God in plurality, that state that we made man in our image and likeness? And then you run into the truth that in the Hebrew language there are 7 different names for God. And then my mind sees that number 7, knowing that this is the number for God for completion, and then I'm off on another tangent. I mean, this is crazy, trippy stuff going on here. Just from one verse, the first verse of the Bible. I can't imagine what this verse does to anyone else's mind, because this verse obviously demands attention. It demands an answer from me and you, as the question it asks is, do I believe this is actually true? For me, the answer is yes, because to think that the phone I am holding and am writing on made its own parts, created its own software, put itself together, and turned itself on, that's insane. Everything in my home, including my home, was all designed and manufactured by people with the raw materials available on this ball spinning through space. To look at a car going down the road and to literally think that that car just happened to be there for no reason would classify that thinker as being insane. And yet many people look at ourselves and one another and this ball that we're on is spinning through space, and they fully believe that that is the case, that we are all here for no reason whatsoever. No one designed us, no one created us. We just kind of happened by chance to crawl out of some primordial ooze and we became us. We all know it's insane to think that the phone created itself for no reason, so how can we look at one another and reach that insane conclusion? As I've also heard it stated that belief in that being real requires more faith than I possess. There is a designer behind every design. There is a creator behind everything created. But as we are experiencing in our world today, facts aren't facts anymore. Many so-called highly educated people don't agree with this. From where I sit, I think they're crazy, and from where they sit, they think the same of me and of people who believe as I do. Someone in this equation has traded the truth for the lie. It could be me, as I don't rule out any possibility, but I'm far from convinced of that, as they are as well. All of us think we're right and the rest of the world is wrong. Well, someone has to be wrong, though, don't they? We can't all be right about our takes on reality, can we? When our perspectives are in polar opposition to one another. But when I explore these questions for myself, it has nothing to do for me with me being right, because what do I know? I see so many people make statements about things that to them are fact without ample evidence of it being factual. They act as if they have special knowledge, and that's just not the case. Because if they have access to these facts, then so do all of us. So I look at this verse and believe it to be the truth because deep way down within me, like in my soul, I know for a fact that I did not create myself. I did not create the earth or anything within it. My abilities as a guitarist, singer, songwriter, keyboardist, bass player, drummer were all just there when I started playing music. I know I'm not responsible for my abilities just being here. My abilities as a counselor were all just there too. Yes, I've worked on all these raw abilities and helped to develop them, but those raw materials for those abilities, they were just there. Same as my ability to speak in public, to have delivered sermons, to be able to write these devotionals, every single one of my abilities used in ministry were all in their raw form, and they were all just here. So where did they come from? Are they all here for no reason outside of the fact that they're just here? Are our kids all just here for no reason? Does life exist for all of us for no reason? That makes no sense in my mind to believe that. Because there sure seems to be a plan and a purpose for all of it. If there isn't a plan and a purpose, then I'm delusional. And yes, that is a possibility pertaining to these questions. But is it a probability? If it is, I'd say the probability is pretty high that I'm not delusional. Or pretty low, depending on how you look at it. Do you see why I need to keep it simple? So I'm keeping it simple and just continuing what makes sense to me and simply believing that God created the heavens and the earth. And that this God planned the method of salvation for my sins and yours by sending His Son Jesus Christ to die for my sins. And that plan had been put into place in His mind before He created the heavens and the earth. And that Jesus rose from the dead to defeat death and to give me hope for an eternity beyond anything that I can see. And that no human can create anything out of nothing. I can create a song, but it's not out of nothing. I can write a devotional, but it didn't just come from my mind alone. That's something I am entirely, completely clear on. Anything that you hear me speak about in these devotionals were all given to me, and they came from God, because I don't know who else is the originator of this design and this creation but Him. And all the wisdom that I have, I did not come up with any single piece of it. It all came to me from God. It all comes from this God referred to in this verse. Therefore, this God deserves my faith in Him. And I need to have faith in Him, for without Him, I don't exist, neither do you, and neither does this planet spinning through space. Have an awesomely blessed day.